Every golf swing is not the same, so don't just go out there and swing like this and expect to stripe it like Lydia. But there are some cues we can look at. So if we start on the left side of the screen, we can see our address position. If you notice, her spine line goes right through her hands, right to the golf club. This is something I strive for most of my students, and I think it's beneficial because it just connects your hands to your center and that club face to your center. And because of this, she is able to take a nice wide one-piece takeaway and keep things connected to the center of her chest, which is where all the power is generated, from the center of the circle, and it works out. So let's take a look at as we take that club back. So if we see on the right side of the screen as we take this club back, what she does great is this one-piece takeaway, and she gets everything connected in that small little circle on the right hand side. As you can see on this circle here, that means her club head and her hands have not moved away from the center. She's making a nice wide turn. This is typical of a one-piece takeaway, and you can notice this on the left side of the screen. I know these videos aren't quite synced up, but you can see to get to the right side of the screen, the wrists are not rolling, they're not hinging, they're just staying put from where she was at her start of her swing. Now we can see on the left side of the screen, this is where the circle was on the right side, but you can see that width is established between her hands and her hips. Her weight is shifting to the outside of the right heel. She's not rotating as much, but she's getting a lateral shift, which is also going to help her shoulders tilt under. Right about here is where she has established most of her turn, and we can see her arms now getting in position. So she has definitely turned as much as she could. There's no more body motion. You can see how steady that body is, specifically on the right side, and she's getting her arms to her secondary plane line. So this is sometimes where the amateur does this first, and what that can do is reduce the turn, because the club is going to get to the top of the position much quicker than a body turn. So if you want to get your width of arc, if you want to establish some power, you have to get your turn immediately right away, and then get your arms to the top of that secondary plane line. It makes it wider, stronger, more connected, and we can see the gap on the left side of the screen. Look at the gap between her hands and her head, and that club shaft is nowhere near parallel. So we're at the top of her swing now, and look at that club position in relation to her turn. So she's getting a lot of turn, and we can tell this because look at that shoulder turn. It's well past 90. It's probably 110 or so, and her hips are not as open as her shoulders. She has immense X factor, and that's the separation between the hips and the shoulders that is creating a lot of torque. On the right side of the screen, slightly crossing the line, which means the club is pointing right at the target. No big deal, because this is due to that arms raising up and getting that club close to parallel. Now I say close to parallel because look at the shoulder rotation and look at the club. If you take a look at the average golfer, if their club is in that position, their shoulders are much closed. They haven't established a lot of turn, which means that she is very wide and she is connected to her chest with minimal hand manipulation. Now we start the transition. So she gets her body weight to the left side. You can see on the left side of the screen, she gets back to that impact line, and her right side of the screen, you can see her arms dropping down in the slots. So she's getting her arms lower in that slot sooner, and her hips are opening up first. Now the hips are going to open up a lot. You can see those hips are already facing the target on the right side of the screen. The club head has found its way to the lower plane line, and the club shaft is going right through the forearms, which you can see how low that plane is. So she is essentially swinging up on it. Her club face is going to swing up from this position. Most of us, because we did not turn enough, our hands have to reconnect. We have the club pointing the other way. We have it pointing down. So some of us, our club is pointing like this because of the fact that we have not established width and we are reconnecting. You can see on the left side of the screen, braced up against that impact line, hands are holding onto that angle pretty well. And as we rotate down into impact, you can see now the upper body's trying to catch up. It's slightly open at impact. It's only about 5 or 6 degrees open, where her hips are completely facing her target. She is unwinding from the ground up, reconnecting, and as she releases that club face, this is where the hand action really comes into play. And you can see right here on the right side of the screen, the club head disappears and that club shaft is pointing to her target. Now if we look at the right side of the screen, I left that shoulder turn at the top of the swing. Look at her shoulder turn at impact, so you can see how it's a complete circle. And she's maintaining her triangle. So if we look at here, we're going to draw a little line between her hands and her chest. Look at that width. She still has a very wide circle. Her hands are connected right to her center of her chest. So this is what we all strive for now. If you notice, she does grip down on the club, and she has done that, I assume, her entire career. Many good players have done this before. Anthony Kim was another famous golfer who did this as well, and just hit the golf ball tons. I'm in favor of it because if you do shorten that club, odds are you're going to keep it connected to your chest. And that's what Anthony Kim does, and that's what Lydia Ko does. They're very good golfers, very powerful motions. But what can we learn from this? As we come through, look at this balance. We're still staying in our spine angle on the right side. Her shoulder tilt is level to her spine angle, so you see that line there. Everything is parallel. So look at all these parallels that we start to see on the right side of the screen. Her lower plane line, her upper plane line, her shoulder plane line, and her follow-through plane line are all perpendicular to her spine angle. So that is the key. And how do we do that? With correct weight management. You can see she never leaves that back brace line on the right side of the screen. With rotation and staying connected. It is all about length of arc, staying connected, not complicating things with our hands and arms. And we can only do that by increasing our range of motion. So if you don't have a range of motion system in place, start stretching. Stretching and strengthening your joints are the only way to get your length. Stop lifting weights, stop running marathons. It's all about joint conditioning and mobility conditioning. So I hope that helps you. I hope you can pick up a few things that Lydia does that maybe you can do a little bit more. But just watch it for what it is, a beautiful golf swing and a fantastic golfer. Don't forget the 1,000 sub giveaway. We're only about 30 subs away, so I'm giving away free lessons with me or with a local PGA pro near you. Just go ahead and type Wichita in the comments, and I appreciate your support. I'll see everybody on Sunday. And will I shave my beard? I don't know. It looks like that's going to be the winner. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.